Hi, I'm Matt Butcher with By the Stream Media, and this is a By the Stream Media podcast. Today you're going to be watching myself, Benjamin Beaver, and Logan Reynolds, the original founders of By the Stream Media, talking about our journey of starting this company, what it was like, the things that we encountered along the way. Hopefully this is interesting content for you and it's something you enjoy. If you do, make sure that you like and subscribe so that you can see more, because we plan on doing more videos like this that are about other businesses around San Angelo or other businesses that we've worked with, or just people that are interesting in general, to see how they do what they do and some of the stories along the way. So without further ado, here's our first episode. So this is By the Stream Media's podcast. We're coming to you today, and I have with me two partners for By the Stream Media, Benjamin Beaver and Logan Reynolds. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting because this is our 10-year anniversary for By the Stream Media, from the day it was conceived till now. What was the starting date for By the Stream Media?
June 6th.
June 6th.
2012.
Okay, 2012. Yeah. So we hit the milestone of 10 years now. It's exciting.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just kind of go through the process of like creating a business, how we did all that, what it was like, and kind of some of the like the peaks and the lows of all that, and just kind of, I don't know, whatever y'all think of as we kind of go through this, and just kind of share your thoughts. So I know probably going to start here with Benj, and just because you had a little bit going on before By the Stream even started, right? Like you already had an idea of where you wanted to go. And
Yeah, but you kind of started it.
Did I?
You kind of started it because I had just started doing real estate, and you emailed me one day and were kind of begging with me, pleading, please let me take photos of one of your listings, because you were so frustrated with the pictures, because you had recently tried to buy a house, maybe bought a house recently, and you were so frustrated with the poor quality of the photos you were seeing. So you felt this pain point in the market, and for you, I don't think at that time, you can speak to this, but it wasn't necessarily about creating some kind of business. It was just like, you just want to prove or show what kind of a difference it can make by taking good photos of a property and how that it really has value. Yeah. So you were the first one to plant the seed of the idea with that email.
Okay. I thought y'all were already doing some videos together.
So yes, that's the other side of it is I had been working with Logan. Logan was still going to school at ASU.
Yeah, I was, I think I was 20. I guess I would have been 20 in June of 2012. So I was a sophomore, junior at ASU.
Yeah, and you were doing video stuff. Back before I was in real estate, you had helped me make some videos, I think, for my rental property thing, or maybe we had interacted in some way to where I knew that you were doing that, and I saw the difference that it made, because I tried to make one or two videos by myself, and I thought, it's going to turn out like this, and it was just such garbage that I thought, oh my gosh.
I think what happened, if I remember correctly, is in like 2011, like several months before, I had won this video contest at ASU.
Yeah.
Which sounds way cooler than it is, because I think there were 6 contestants.
You just demolished everyone else.
I took out those other 5 people. But I think I had posted on Facebook or something about it. I won this little $200 laptop that's never worked.
Nice.
Even the first time I tried to use it. Anyways, I think if I remember correctly, you contacted me because you'd seen that I won a contest making a video. It was like, hey, I need a video made.
Yeah.
Then we did, I think 2 videos of you talking about landlording. And
Yeah, that was after I got into real estate.
Okay.
After I got in, I remember I met you over in Santa Rita Park, and we made a couple videos, and I was amazed. I was amazed at how much better it looked with you making it versus what I was trying to do.
And I was amazed somebody was hiring me.
Yeah, and giving you money for doing this thing that you kind of enjoyed doing anyway.
How much money?
Yeah,
I think it charged
$50.
I think it was $40 per video.
Oh yeah, it was something to where it was just nothing.
Yeah.
Like Logan, at that point, I just wasn't valuing his talent, which for me, I was like, oh my gosh, what he can do, I could never do this.
Which
you know?
is in my 20-year-old brain, I was thinking, okay, I spent like 4 or 5 hours on this, $10 an hour, that's pretty
a good rate.
Yeah, totally.
That's such a flawed way of thinking, though. I remember, I tried to do lawn service back in the day. I tried to charge an hourly rate, and then I go out there at this person's property, and I'm basically weed eating their entire backyard. I don't remember why I couldn't get a mower. Maybe there was too many rocks back there, and it was just the most grueling hour and a half. And I'm like, well, I want to charge, or maybe it was like 45 minutes. I was like, I want to charge $12 an hour, so I charged them $8.
Oh, no.
Anyway,
Not even a full hour.
it's a flawed way of thinking. Because I still drove out there, and I was, it was a disaster.
But you learned.
Anyway, that's how it started
Yeah.
with Logan, is like, oh man, this is awesome. These videos, he can help me. I can use these to promote my business. And so, I kind of connected with Logan in that way, so that when you contacted me about shooting a house with photos, I don't know, maybe it was my idea or someone else's, but I'm like, we can get Logan to do a video of the house too. And we met at one of my first listings. I had a few maybe at that time, but this listing had been on the market with someone else, hadn't sold in the 6 month that they had contracted, so they were looking for someone else. I had just taken on the listing, and that was a real moment, because we met out there, shot the house, ended up selling it immediately, and so many things just clicked about, wow, there's really something to this here.
Yeah. I guess it never clicked for me that you had never shot a real estate video before. I knew you all had done some already, but I didn't realize those were like the explainer videos that you had kind of
Yeah,
shot.
I
You
mean,
had never
maybe
shot
I
a house.
had, but I don't
think so.
think so. Yeah, I think that was my first one.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I think it's worth mentioning too that at this time it's like 2012. So, YouTube's been around for 5 or 6 years, but online video was still kind of taking off in the sense being, I guess, adopted by the masses, and so there wasn't a lot of real estate video media out there.
No, none in our area.
Definitely not in our area, but even just as far as, and maybe it was also that we just didn't think about looking it up, but at least for me, from the creative side, I really felt like we were not trailblazing, because that sounds way cooler than I think we were, but I couldn't just go look up 300 other real estate videos to see how it's done.
Kind of an
So
untapped market.
it was I feel like in the first couple of years, it was very much a process of trial and error of how do we make this look good? What kind of angles do we pick? I don't know. You know what I mean? It really felt kind of.
There wasn't a grid that we were aware of,
Yeah.
at least. And at least here, the real estate media that was being produced was still just, super old school. I don't even know how many people at that time were using an iPhone. It was really these point and shoot cameras, and the quality was just so poor compared to what you guys could produce. The juxtaposition was just startling. You know what I mean? I remember the media that we produced on that first house. It blew my mind. It was a lot more different than I would have thought after we got the end result. And of course, my clients were super thrilled,
Right.
And give me the credit for it, which really is this is Matt's idea, and but that was a neat experience. I remember meeting with you guys out at that house, and pretty shortly after, maybe even the same day or next day, I remember talking with you guys at the house and feeling like, this is cool. You guys should form a business and do this. But I was thinking real estate media. I wasn't seeing all the implications of
I don't think
just
we
a
were
media
either,
production
yeah.
business. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember you saying you guys should start a business, and both Logan and I were like, no.
Yeah.
No, we don't know how to do that. We're not ready for that. Logan was in school. I was working for House of Faith Children's Ministry. I was like, I already got a
Nonprofit.
job.
Yeah.
But then after thinking about it for a while, I think we're like, well, maybe if you start it, you put the paperwork together, you do all that technical stuff, Logan and I can just do the shooting.
Yeah.
The three of us together could have a company.
Yeah. Yeah, because I just had a little bit of experience, not much, honestly, but just with the entrepreneurial, endeavor and incorporating, and just had been in that world a little bit to where you guys felt like, well, you bring this to the table, and, a burden that you didn't feel like bearing, really.
Right. Yeah.
I remember not making a lot of decisions the first, really, I guess throughout the whole history of the company, but really the first couple of years of just thinking these guys are older than me, they know what they're doing, so if he suggests this, and is like making it happen, then it sounds good to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, that's something, if I had known that we'd be sitting here 10 years later, I think I would have, I mean, I definitely still would have made a business with you guys, but I definitely would have like thought about it more. You know what I mean? Like I would have put more weight to it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what we were
I don't
getting
think
into.
any of us expected this.
Yeah.
This was not the end goal. It was just kind of, we shot real estate videos. Real estate videos turned into like media videos for realtors, other people besides you, and then turned into videos for other small businesses and then other like corporations. And then we were just doing all the nonprofits in San Angelo, and it just kept building on top of itself until we were like, oh wow. Like, well, there was the moment for me when I realized I have to decide, do I quit my full-time job and start doing this full-time, which Logan had already made the move from college to doing it full-time.
Yeah.
And I had to make that call.
We should talk about that, right? Like what that was like for you, Logan, to decide that, and then Matt.
I mean, I think two big things kind of helped with us in the early couple of years, and I think part of it is kind of when we started the company. I think was really important as far as kind of gaining traction. I think if we had started By the Stream in like 2008, it wouldn't have worked because I feel like online video, which was kind of our bread and butter, it wasn't big enough yet. But I feel like if we had started By the Stream in like 2016, it'd be too much competition. I feel like we really hit like a good sweet spot there.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Just
but
timing.
I think also it helped with Matt and I is that we were able to kind of build the business as we were building our lives. You know what I mean? Like if we were to try to start it today with our houses and our kids and our wives, you know what I mean?
Pressure,
But fortunately, so to your question, back in 2013 when I graduated, I was married. I was actually renting from you, renting a house. But no kids. My wife was working at the school and didn't have a lot of bills, and so it was the kind of situation where I was like, I don't have to make a lot of money right now, and so I can try to build this thing, and then a year from now we're making a little bit more, and then so as the business grew, kind of our lives grew too. So I think that kind of it felt not that like risky to me, I guess you could say, because it was like. What I got to lose. I'm just, what I mean?
Right,
but
true.
Also, it was the kind of thing where just, being totally honest, like in San Angelo, if you graduate from college with a degree in mass media or communications, like, unless you want to leave town, you basically can go work at the news station, or something that doesn't involve your degree. So it's kind of like, I'm either going to do this or just not. And I didn't want to work at the news station. So,
we were able to capitalize on a demoralized young graduate's lack of options.
I felt I had no place to go. So
So might as well.
So I think was it late 2013 maybe when we got our first office.
I don't know. It would have been pretty early.
Up in the Dunlaps.
The sixth floor. That was the place was the sixth floor of the Continental Building, right?
Small room that was like an 8x10. Kind of closet.
It was an office.
But we had
and there was you had a view.
And I remember that you as kind of our business partner and first investor. Really, you bought me an iMac.
Oh, nice.
I don't even remember that.
That was very generous.
But I think that was the point I started taking it seriously because I was like, oh man, he dropped a few thousand on this computer for me. I should probably put some effort into and so that's where we started. Is Matt was still at his previous job and I was in that little room.
You spent a lot of time there by yourself.
What'd you call that year? There was a year of.
Oh, the year of solitude.
Year of solitude.
Yes.
Because I was still at House of Faith, had my full-time job, and there wasn't enough work for me to come work full-time. Right. And honestly,
there wasn't really enough work for me to work full-time. I don't know what I was doing.
You did somehow.
Yeah. I remember it would have either taken me a lot longer, or maybe I never would have done it if I hadn't been with my now wife. At the time, she was my girlfriend, Chelsea, and she was like, I feel like you could do this full time. I think that you could. And kind of having her behind me, saying, I think you could do this. I was like, okay. And I think maybe we were engaged or go in that direction. So knowing that like she was kind of behind it, whether or not it succeeded or failed, was like okay, someone else believes in this, and if it goes bad, then it's her fault. No.
Yeah, she's the wind in your sails.
Now that I have a scapegoat.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but
and I'll blame her if it goes bad.
yeah. But at least she was on board if it goes bad, kind of thing.
What year was that you?
That was probably 2015.
Yeah, there's early
15.
Yeah.
Is that scary?
It was, because I mean, so for me, I had
You're
reached
very
the
calculated.
point. Well, yeah.
You're very calculating what you
Well,
do. So
I
you're
had,
sure you get a lot
I had a
done.
house and mortgage. I had roommates at the time, and I'm looking at getting married. I was like, oh shoot, like I don't want to give up this solid full-time job that I have and go into something that definitely doesn't have enough work for me.
Yeah.
But I felt the Lord telling me it was like time to get out of full-time ministry and move into a different position of faith and like just follow him in doing work. And I remember being at home and I was like, okay, I know this is something I need to do. I need to call my boss and just tell him that like this is what I'm going to do, but I don't know how to phrase it because I don't really have enough work to.
Yeah,
how do I tell him what I'm doing? And I was like, okay, God, I'll just do it. Just give me the words. And I had my phone in my hand. I was getting ready to call him or text him and just say, hey, I want to talk. Yeah. And I got a call from Charlie Landers, videographer here in town.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Charlie's awesome. And he called me and he said, hey, I have 3 clients and I do graphic design work for them. I'm trying to get away from that. I want to do more movie, video type work. He's like, would you be interested in taking them on? I was like, yeah, definitely would.
Right.
And then after that, even though I hadn't talked to them, I didn't know what I was doing, I had the confidence that the Lord was kind of
like
behind it.
A nudge, a sign.
Yeah. And so from there, I was able to move forward with more confidence. And it was nice because I still, even after I left House of Faith, I was still getting like part of that paycheck. I was still doing work for them part-time. Mm-hmm. And so even though it wasn't what I was fully used to, I feel like the Lord always provided enough of the other work to kind of offset the money that I needed. And eventually, over time, I did work for House of Faith less and less, and that was taken over by other projects. But I remember in the early days when we first started, it was Logan had his projects, I had my projects, and we just happened to be in the same room under the same name. But it was like, I get the money for the things I do, you get the money for the things you do.
Basically two freelancers.
Yeah. And then that came to the point where like there's a little too much video work for Logan to do by himself in time. And so I was like, I'll help you with it, but that means I'm going to get that paycheck. And then after that, we realized it feels weird if we're competing with each other.
Almost disincentivized to grow the company in a way. Yeah.
So that was kind of a big milestone. I remember is being we're going to have salaries and we're going to share our income and we're going to get paid the same no matter what work we're doing. And then
I think once we got W-2s, I was like, we've made it.
Right. Yeah. That was your moment.
Once I no longer just absolutely dreaded taxes. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Which actually took a while because we still were on 1099 as independent contractors for a long time.
Yeah, it was a couple of years, I think, after you went full time.
It was quite a bit. But I remember kind of the next milestone was moving from that small office to like a bigger one-room office in the Continental Suites. What road is that?
It's on Concho.
Yeah. Right by
the river.
By the skate park.
Yeah.
It was almost perfect.
Yes, which everyone thought that was why we had that name, was by the stream. Why do we have the name by the stream?
It comes from the Bible. Yeah, it comes from Jeremiah 17, Psalm 1. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord. He's like a tree planted by the streams.
Right. And you already had the business like a tree
properties. Yeah.
So we were just following suit with what you had kind of already started.
Yeah.
Now I want to know if you had started 3 more companies, what their names would have been.
It got much more difficult to come up with a name. Yeah. If you're going to continue on that. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. But no, I remember you had already started that and we just followed suit on that.
Yeah.
And we gave ourselves one day to come up with the name.
It was a pretty funny, it's like naming a band. There's probably 95% making jokes. So we eventually just had to force ourselves. Let's just pick something. Let's just pick this.
Which again, I feel like if we had known we were going to be sitting here 10 years later, we probably would have maybe given ourselves 2 days.
Maybe
2, maybe 3.
It's cutting us through.
Let's decide now.
I mean, not that I don't like the name. It's just like, I think at least for me, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Just pick a name of the day because this is just for Texas, right? I didn't realize it was going to be a brand and we were going to like employ people.
But you guys have always made it look so cool. Whether the name is great or not, you guys have always made it seem pretty cool in the way you present it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was more about what we did and who we are as people, and less about the name itself. You make it. You attribute characters to the name by what you make it.
Yeah.
Which is why I think By the Stream works, because it's like, it's not so like, it doesn't already have a strong connotation for most people. Like, I mean, maybe they see like trickling water or something, but it's not like the name Apple, where when you hear Apple, you would think of an apple, and so I feel like, it has that space to where you can fill the meaning in with, how you do business and what kind of stuff you create.
Right.
So
that's a good point.
What was some of y'all's proudest moments or favorite moments for the company and being in there? I don't know if you really have some, because you got it started and you would come in mostly at the bad times or like major transitions.
Stressful.
I bet your proudest moments were when bailing us out.
No, like
definitely happened a few times.
For me, it's been such an awesome collaboration, and really I cannot separate, especially going back and like establishing my real estate career and establishing By the Stream, were so, joined together and really like worked in tandem, because I feel like the reason I was able to be successful in real estate is because of the stuff we were doing together. And that whole thing really leaned into the presentation of properties and my own branding, which was so By the Stream in the beginning, that I can't really separate the two. If I look back at, why things have gone well in real estate, I have to give at least a huge portion of the credit to the work we were doing together. So for me, just that synergy and that relationship we had in especially those early years where we're establishing both the brands, that's just great times for me. Looking back, it was a lot of fun. It was like every time we had a business meeting, it was fun. And just those times. It's all good, but looking back, those are real like meaningful times to me in the beginning, especially.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I guess I could pick several.
What do you think?
The first thing that comes to mind, I guess it's not really a proud moment, just like one of the things that when we did that staff development trip, and what was that, 2017?
Yeah.
And we just we went to the Sam Houston National Forest, and we just in your RV and just played stupid games for like 2 days straight.
Yeah.
I remember somebody stuck their hand in an ant pile. And,
right. How long? Who could hold it here the longest?
It was like
descended into
somehow
boyhood immediately.
Exactly. It was definitely not a business trip.
I guess I kind of feel bad for Matt on that, because I feel like you and I both very quickly descend into.
Well, that's why we need him though.
Yeah,
it would,
Matt,
it would digress.
There's been a lot of times where Matt felt like the grown up for sure in the relationship.
I think other moments. I mean, definitely just there's been some highlights in the community, whether it's with the Addies or when we've had our work shown at. I just whistled. That was weird. When we've had our work shown at. The chamber luncheons, or when we've been able to participate in really large events like Dancing with the Stars or the Symphony, where it's not just like, it's nice to get recognition for your work too, but also like being able to create something that then you get to go watch it like have an effect in the community. Because sometimes when you make online videos and stuff, like you just put them up and maybe you get feedback online, but it's very disconnected. But to be in a room with people and watch them watch something that you've made, or just like, be driving through town and see a billboard, you're like, oh yeah, my company made that, that's cool. I think another highlight for me was the brand we had for a little bit, which maybe something's happened with it, I don't know, but I created something called St. Angelo City Squared that was more just like a weird side pet project I wasn't really sure what to do with. But the first video that I made of it, we went and toured the new movie theater that was
the Icon,
and the video like went San Angelo viral, I guess.
San Angelo viral.
Yeah, I think it got like 80,000 views or something, or something crazy.
No, that was neat. That was a neat moment for sure.
And it's really sad too, because like that'll never happen again because of the way the algorithms have changed.
It's true. That was a special, unique moment.
But just realizing like, wow, we can create stuff that's really like super hyper relevant, and so that was fun. And we you know, we did some more videos, and all of them actually did really good. We just had a hard time like figuring out where to go with that, how to monetize it, what it was supposed to look like, and so. But yeah, I mean that was fun. That, and then I guess we had a premiere of the documentary that I made in 2019 here in San Angelo, and that was a fun moment. It was terrifying, honestly, because I was like, I've rendered the right file, right? Like,
yeah,
you know,
man.
you're always worried. But
or there's going to be some like weird cut in the video.
Yeah. So we had we rented out the Performing Arts Center. You know, we have a great relationship with them, and got a big screen and everything like that. But yeah, to be able to like stand in a room and watch people watch something that you've made, and like for them to like inhabit your world for an hour and a half,
right?
And watch them laugh and
pretty
cry.
surreal.
That was a cool moment. Yeah. I'm sure there's more I'll think of since.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
I mean, definitely stuff like the Addies. I miss that kind of stuff, where we get to kind of see how our stuff paired up to the other people that were doing stuff here in San Angelo, especially in the early days, but when we're just making stuff and we don't have any like real affirmation of what we're doing.
Yeah. Is this actually
it's like,
good?
how do we compare it to like the big dogs in town, that kind of thing, and being like, okay, like we have what it takes to do this kind of thing. Sadly, we don't have the Addies anymore. So if someone wants to bring those back again, that'd be great. But
start our own award show.
That's right.
And just give ourselves all the awards.
Yes. Yeah, nobody else is invited.
Yeah.
They'll be more like Dundee's, though.
There you go. I'm surprised you never did any version of Dundee's.
It's not too late. It's never too late.
I was really excited whenever we got our first client that hired us from out of town, and not because they like had a referral or anything. Like, we had done stuff for Apex Energy because they came into town. It was a windmill farm, and they were starting a place outside of town, and we just shot their blade signing, their special event that day, and that was it. And I thought we'd never hear from them again. And then like a year later, they call us up and they're like, "Hey, we like working with you. Can we fly you to Florida and Illinois and have you do stuff for us?" And that was like, okay, that's cool.
Felt like a milestone.
Yeah, you're willing to pay us to go other places. You could pick anyone in the United States to do this, and you're choosing us because you like working with us. And I was like, okay, that's a big deal. That means a lot. And that's pretty recent. So there's lots of other things just in the past. But like seeing a billboard up for the first time that I made, or a logo that's on a vehicle, all that kind of stuff is cool to see. Like Logan was saying, like your impact in the community, especially being able to see like a new business that just started. And then we were able to help like with their branding and their look, and then put them out on the right foot and do stuff the right way. That's been really cool. Yeah. And then also to have people just come back throughout the years. We grew with them as they grew, and they stayed with us, and we were able to work with them, kind of thing. So those were really fun times. So I'm definitely thankful for every aspect of what we get to do in the company. So, all right. The other question, what's some of the worst moments of By the Stream Media?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Probably, I mean, we have really high customer satisfaction, I feel like, but there's been a couple of times throughout the years where we just had somebody who was just not happy about something. There's probably some times where it was we dropped the ball, but there's probably other times too where it was like totally not our fault, but it's like you can't convince this person, you know what I mean? And so it's, so probably I would say some of those moments where it's just like you have this person and there's, large amounts of money being discussed and everyone's stressed and but I would say those were few and far between, but they did exist. Which I think is going to happen in any business.
It's just one time where that happened.
One big time. There's been, but I think also there's been a few other times where it's like we really thought we hit it, and then the client comes back and is like, "This is literally the opposite of everything I wanted." And you're like, "What?" Yeah, we literally did exactly what you said. Which, and then that happens. But I've been mostly surprised at how little that's happened. It's been nice. Like I feel like most of the people we work with have been really awesome. I feel like there was another thing, but I can't remember.
I'll jump in. I feel like one of the worst moments for me is just in my own life journey of realizing my own limitations and like, you know, the way we all interact together. I've been more the eternal optimist, always thinking, yeah, we can do this, we can do that. And then, you know, as I get older, as I've tried, you know, as you guys have seen me try all these different business things that most of them don't take, you know, having an experience with By the Stream when we were really trying to, there was a certain way we wanted to expand Rapid Real Estate Media.
That's right. That's what I was thinking.
And and I really invested my time and energy thinking what I have in my mind is going to work, you know. And then there were several reasons why it didn't, but you know, really traveling around Austin, New Mexico, Dallas, Houston, and connecting with shooters in these different places.
Yeah, you were like really grinding.
This was
for like 6 months
2015, 2016. Really invested, just sure that this was going to take off the way that I pictured it taking off, because the real estate media production has been a great backbone of our company, you know, and just in a way kind of goes on in the background all the time with the work we're doing now. But really, I felt like I saw a way for that to take off to a whole new level, incorporating different cities. But then there were several roadblocks, reasons why it wasn't working, and you know, that was a period of time where I was investing more, hemorrhaging money, believing that it was going to take, and then it didn't, you know, and just having to come to grips with, yeah, what I pictured isn't going to work, you know. So that was a bummer. That was a bummer. And then I felt really bad for like draining the company's energy, all the energy we put into that. And it wasn't all for naught, you know, but really what I pictured never came to fruition with that. So that was a bummer. Yeah. But I've survived, barely. To tell the tale.
You're still here. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, I forgot about all that.
That's like, oh yeah, that still hurts a little bit.
Well, I remember because we went to Albuquerque, we went to all these different places, got a decent amount of people involved in that, and then like,
the hang-up's probably the real estate agents. Look, I'll be the first to say it doesn't take a lot to get your real estate license, and it was difficult to get the idea to take. Yeah. You know, it's like essentially trying to convince people to believe what I believe about the power of media in your real estate business and the way it can impact you. Like, I truly believe this, like, and it has worked for me, but convincing other people of that, and that being a prerequisite that I need to convince other people of that quickly and then move on to the next one, it wasn't taking. That was one of the many challenges with the idea that we had at the time of how we could expand this, that just caught me off guard, surprised me, and I eventually had to throw in the towel.
I actually have a distinct memory of that trip to Albuquerque. We did it's like a 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
It was really, really brief, but I remember because we didn't know until we were doing the rental car, and then the guy's like, and here's your rental car, Mr. Beaver, and happy birthday. It was your birthday. You didn't even tell us. It was like 30th birthday, 29th birthday, something.
And then we were like, oh, but we should celebrate. And it was late. There weren't any places open. So we went to some burger place. And
Blake's Lotaburger.
One of the greasiest burgers I've ever eaten in my life. Yeah. And I remember getting sick to my stomach shortly after eating it. Yeah. So I remember a single tear. It's like, happy birthday.
And I remember like watching you in a dimly lit hotel room on your birthday, sitting on the end of a bed, just eating a 2 greasy cheeseburger by yourself. And thinking, this is so sad.
Yeah, this guy's really invested. And it's just seeing someone throw their life away is hard. You know, it's hard seeing that happen right before your eyes.
Yeah, it's taken me a while to recover from witnessing that.
Yeah, we limped along. After that, learned a lot, and if you learn through failure, I've had a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. And I think it is important it's significant that you realized that it wasn't getting traction and you were willing to admit defeat. You know, I think a lot of people, it takes a lot longer and they cost a lot more before.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
After By the Stream's bankruptcy, then I realized. Unfortunately, we didn't get that far.
And I think that's an important just element of business is realizing, you know, where you have traction and where you don't, and that doesn't mean that anytime you don't have traction, you just give up right away.
Yeah.
But I think having the discernment to know when to keep pushing and when to release something is really an important skill.
That's a really good point, and it's experiences like that, and I have had several that when I have friends that come to me wanting to start a business, even though I am this eternal optimist, I also say I've been beat down by life, but I'm able to give better advice, more realistic advice. It's like I do want people to go for it and try things, and a big part of By the Stream's business is working with entrepreneurs and really supporting them, and I love that, but I've also had those experiences to help me maybe give a little bit more realistic advice about what's actually possible and what to expect, which is important.
Yeah.
You got to balance out.
Well, that's kind of the thing is you get on this journey just wanting to make videos, or for me, just wanting to take photos, and then it becomes all these other things, and there's all these skill sets and stuff that you pick along the way. Do you feel like there's certain skill sets that you picked up along the way that you didn't really expect? I know for me, like that was like invoicing and like following up with clients on things and like setting schedules. I like that. That was just stuff
But you
I never
excel
had.
at that. You excel at the administrative aspects.
I grew into that, but I didn't have that skill set before we started. I had never had to do that before. And I remember when we started the company, Logan and I had to sit down and we're like, okay, one of us has to be in charge of and keep track of what's going on. And I was
it wasn't going to be me.
Right. I was like, I'm older, and I don't mind it. Like I'll do it. And then that just kind of became my role forever. Like little did we know, like those small conversations become like the
trajectories
of the company.
Like a ship setting course across the ocean.
That's right.
It's a couple clicks.
Yeah.
So you feel like there's stuff you picked up?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's just like learning how to be an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 20 when we started, I guess about to be 21 when we started the company. And so, I didn't know anything about being professional. I mean, I still don't really know a whole lot about being professional, but, or just like how to exist in the real world.
It's really hard to rein in those free spirits, which we ultimately failed to do, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah. I mean, I think, just getting a lot of it. And the hard thing is, like, I still have never really had a real job. You know what I mean? And so,
which is kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But just, but it also means like I'm responsible for learning how to like, when you're 21 and learn how to wake up in the morning and actually go to an office on your own free will, like that's hard because like nobody's telling you to.
But I also feel like you guys, the reason this business was a success is because you guys had that. You both had that. You were both internally motivated, you were responsible. I remember being impressed because my job is one of those also where you don't necessarily have to put in the office hours, but I was always impressed with both of you and your steadfastness and your consistency in putting in the time, investing, which again, you can't build a business without doing that, but you guys really did that over the years, and I always noticed.
Well, I was going to say, like for you, I noticed, especially like when you did the documentary, like you had that all of a sudden a skill set of like getting all these people together, which you've always been good at. Like I remember we used to do lots of those videographer luncheon kind of things, but
roundtable
not
discussions.
That you necessarily started that, but you were great at like making relationships with people around town and bringing them in. Whereas like I think my mindset would have been a little bit more towards like their competition, or I need to be the best at what I do. But after doing that, I was like, like we can all just work together. There's enough work for all of us.
No, I totally believe
that. We
that.
don't have to like put each other down. And I think because of that, a lot of the same people that are at least our age and have kind of grown up at the same time with their media companies, like we've all, we've all worked together and we haven't like fought over stuff. And we have a great relationships with everyone else.
Atmosphere,
Yeah. So I think, that was just from Logan being friendly and like wanting to connect with people and wanting to learn from everybody, work with Brian
decent
Groves
human being,
or Charlie Landers or like all these other guys that have done it for a couple of years before we did, and learning from them instead of being like, we're going to take you down, that kind of attitude.
That's definitely something that I feel like I've had to cultivate over the years, is learning how to both be like super confident at what you do, but then also like really humble in the sense of like somebody's hiring you, they're paying you thousands of dollars, you better act like you know what you're doing, you know, and you're the one who's telling you, all right, this is what it's going to look like, this is what we're doing, assuring the client like, I'm confident, I know what I'm doing, but at the same time, like be willing to have these relationships with these guys who are years ahead of you or have more experience than you or who are just better than you, you know, and saying like, what can you teach me? Like being willing to admit like, hey, I'm really good at like composition, but I really suck at color correction, or just like understanding where you're weak and then creating like a culture of having people around you to fill in the cracks of where you know that you're not strong, you know, and I think that's something a skill I've also gained that I wish I would have focused on from the very beginning, is just realizing how much of like videography or filmmaking is a collaborative experience.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you can be one of those guys who does everything, but it's gonna suck if you do. You know, like it might even look good, but it's gonna take you way too much time, and it just makes more sense to think about, okay, what am I really good at, and then how do I connect with other people who are passionate about the other aspects of content creation, and how do we work together to a common goal? And so, I mean, I guess that kind of goes along with what you're saying about like getting people together, but.
Oh, just the challenge of like growth in our company and expanding, because for the longest time it was just you and me doing everything, and then there was a couple times that we tried, you know, bringing in other employees. I would say to our credit, our first employee was Ethan Langford.
Shout out to Ethan.
Right? Who went on to do like lots of great things on his own. But like, I don't know if Ethan knew, but during that time, like we were barely making it all of a sudden. It wasn't because of him, but at the time that we brought him in, for some reason, our money
just
and all the
ebb and
projects
flow of business.
we were going to have, we thought we were going to have a lot, and then all of a sudden, all the finances just like went away. And so I remember making sure he got paid, and then I was like, I'll probably get paid here in a couple of weeks. But thankfully, that was the only time I can ever remember being nervous about a paycheck, which is like right in the middle of it.
That's amazing.
It really is. And probably the other scary time was, you know, the pandemic.
For sure.
2 years ago in 2020, I remember
2 years.
In February, we were in our third office at the time, and I remember being like, Logan, I don't know how we're going to do all this work. Like, we just aren't going to sleep in March, you know? We're just
we had the rodeo coming up, and then we had
so many projects. We had Dancing with the Stars, and we had just all these things. I was like, we need to like figure out how to bring someone in or do something else. Or like, I was like, this is a lot of work, and we're gonna make massive paychecks, or have to bring, you know, whatever. And then the pandemic hit and took care of that, and we lost like 70-80% of our business in like 3 days. I got tired of answering the phone because I was like, this stinks. And at the exact same time we were moving into this studio.
It was like the week we were moving in, everything shut down.
I was up here painting walls, being like, I wonder how long we're gonna be in here. Like,
that was crazy.
Because I thought for sure
you're kind of scanning the room. I could put my bed over here. Sell my house here in a minute.
I mean, fortunately, you know, the nice about media company is we were able to just pivot to, you know, now everyone was needing help with live streaming, and virtual events and stuff like that. So it actually worked out pretty well for us. But there
continued on.
There was a few weeks there where I remember the first the first two calls, maybe, or 3 calls. I don't think I mentioned it to you because I didn't want to freak you out, but I remember thinking we're gonna lose all of our business. For next. I was like, it's probably gonna be different for at least a year. It's like, I mean, that's what they're saying on the news, but
that feeling,
and we did. We lost all
our business.
And we got
the most stressful time I could ever. And it was for every business owner, or anyone running a company.
Everything was unknown. It was but here we are.
So we get through that.
The world continued on.
And now, here we are in March of 2022, and I feel like everything's kind of recovered, and we're back to doing events now.
And if anything, it's helped us expand our company, because now we invested in live streaming equipment that we
forced
didn't
to do
necessarily
it.
have. So we kind of have this other. I wouldn't say it's a whole other branch of the business, I guess, but
learn new skill sets.
There's more we can offer to people, you know, that maybe we hadn't thought of whenever we were just doing like pre-recorded content.
Was there anything about that time period, Logan, that played into some of your journey and where you're headed now, or not really?
I mean, I think, so what I've heard people describe about the pandemic is that it was an accelerant. You know, which means like, it's not necessarily that it changed a lot so much as it made stuff happen faster. So you can think about the idea of like the work from home adoption, or just certain things with geopolitics, all this kind of stuff where it's like a lot of, you know, when people look at the pandemic and how it's affected the world, that a lot of the changes are less like changes and more just it condensed what would have taken 5 to 10 years for certain things to happen down to 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean?
That makes a lot of sense.
And so, I mean, I think naturally when you have this time where everyone's kind of stuck at home and you're thinking about stuff, yeah, I mean, I think it definitely, I wouldn't say that like where I've gone wouldn't have happened without the pandemic, but it maybe would have happened on a different timeline.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I guess to kind of follow up with that, like, so you are no longer part of By the Stream.
Right. Yeah. So as of January 1st, I left the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With our blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I left. Actually, I packed a bag overnight.
Left in the
Sent
middle
a
of the
text
night.
message. Yeah.
I thought maybe the rapture had happened.
Oh, yeah. No, it was not.
He's the only one.
Yeah. I mean, so I definitely, I forget, I heard this somewhere, probably on another podcast, I don't remember, but somebody talked about how we as a society, as a culture, we have a lot to say about like starting things, you know. There's so many podcasts about how to start a business, books, you know, groups, seminars about how to get this thing started, how to get started in real estate, how to get started with this stuff. But we as a culture, like we don't talk very often about how to finish things, you know, because it's not as exciting, I guess, you know, but like everything ends eventually. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, a big part of me leaving the company, I mean, on one hand, it was a very like practical decision because I was moving. And it's possible that I could have started a branch of By the Stream somewhere else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I'm moving, I also then had to think like, you know, the way that our business works, it doesn't really make sense like for me to be an owner that's not involved. It's not the kind of, at the moment, who knows, maybe 5-10 years from now, the kind of thing where you can, you know, I could just like pull a big paycheck by just saying that I own the company. You know,
5 to 10 years when we IPO and
exactly. Yeah. You know, so it's kind of like either work, you know, with the business and own it or separate. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, it was kind of this, I had to kind of do this thought exercise of like imagining myself as a 60-year-old or 65-year-old and looking back and think like, okay, can I imagine myself as a 60-some-year-old thinking, okay, I spent 40 years building this thing. I spent 40 years doing this. Is that what I want to do? You know, do I want to say this is what I spent my life on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, well, that's either, you know, that's a yes or no question, you know? So it's like, if the answer is yes, then I have to think like, okay, well, what do I do for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years? How does this look like? How do I build that out so that when I am 60-some years old and I'm ready to leave this business behind, I do it in the best way possible? But if the answer is no, then the question becomes, well, okay, if I don't, then when do I leave? You know what I mean? And it's like, well, might as well now when I'm moving and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then also just realizing as far as like what I want to do creatively, looking back at things like San Angelo City Square or the documentary, just realizing that really I have a much more of an interest in journalism than I do like advertising, you know, which the hard thing is those two things are very like adjacent to each other. Yeah. And so
some overlap.
Yeah. But just realizing like and even with like exploring Round Rock, you know, that fun project we did together.
Yeah, that was fun.
Just realizing that's what I've kind of been like trying to figure out how to do this whole time. So it's like, maybe if I just focus more on that. Yeah. So I think it was a lot of that of like, I think that a lot of people spend way more time in places, whether it's a business or a relationship or something like that, way more time than they're supposed to, because it's just feels a lot better to be somewhere that you already know is like there and is safe. And not that that's always a bad decision, but yeah. Yeah,
and that fear of change, fear of something different.
Yeah.
You can't answer all those questions sometimes without just going for it. And I like to say, you know, Logan just had to answer the call of the wild.
That's what you keep saying.
Yeah.
So I guess, I mean, so for now, I'm actually living in an RV. Here in a few weeks, we'll be taking off into the mountains.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. And then, right now I'm
to
also...
the mountains.
To the mountains. It's a very nondescript location.
Yes,
but,
love it.
And I currently am producing a podcast called Routes Unbound that's kind of a blend of human interest, but also just kind of travel tourism. And right now it's a podcast. The eventual goal is to create some sort of TV show out of it. Right now it's just me and like one other person. Be nice to build a team one day, but it's it's kind of a slow build.
Yeah.
So, and then other than that, just kind of freelancing and figuring out where we're going to go from here. So
yeah. No, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that you're being true to yourself, and you're, if that's what's in your heart, to really question that and be willing to take the risk, which is something we have continued to applaud in others. You know, we have to be willing to do it ourselves, you know, to take the risk and do the thing.
And I think, you know, that was the thing is I was like, if I'm going to stay with By the Stream, you know, once you hit 30, you really start to like think really hard about your life because you're like, you know, and I was like,
usually not in positive ways.
Well, for me, it was like, I want to give like my full effort to whatever I'm doing. You know, like I don't want to like go through life and be like, man, I spent 30 years just kind of with like a half-baked idea. You know what I mean? And so it's like, if I'm going to stay with By the Stream, I want to be able to honestly say like, I'm going to put my full effort in.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't feel myself doing that. You know? It's just for whatever reason. And so it's like, I'd rather go figure out something where I can, like, you know, and because I feel like I would just be dragging the company down if I'm like, you know, especially 10 years from now, from when I'm 40 and I'm like, I haven't like been motivated in 15 years, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be fair to our employees, it wouldn't be fair to you guys. And so it made sense. You know?
Yeah.
I know that I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of stuff you produce and what you put together now.
Thanks.
That you're untethered.
Well, yeah, I'd love to
like
come
a
hire you
wild
guys today.
stallion. You know? Yeah. And who knows? Maybe there can be some collaboration too in the future. And it's just awesome to start a business, you know, starting off with we've obviously grown a lot closer over the years, but with a closer relationship, and then for that to be, you know, stronger and still on really good terms and be able to send each other off in different directions and be genuinely excited to see, I think, what happens with each different stream as they flow different directions.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And you have a second podcast too, right?
So I mean, right now, my wife and I, we're kind of documenting our journey on the road. That's a little less like professional, I guess you could say. It's called Reynolds on the Run. So I'm Reynolds.
I did hear a clip from about hot ham, something you were talking about.
Oh yeah, that was when I almost threw up in the Irish Sea because we were. That's a long story. Yeah, that was awful. Yeah. If you're ever seasick, make sure you're not with a sailor who's microwaving his lunch.
Right.
Yeah.
Or eating like a cold boiled egg, just right there.
What's up with you and boiled eggs? We were having a conversation the other day.
Yeah.
He said something about a bowl full of boiled eggs.
Yeah, I mean, just sometimes when you're not feeling well, some things are particularly unappetizing.
That's the smell.
And that's what we should really pivot this podcast into thinking as many of those things as possible. And just
well, if anyone wants to hear more about hot ham or about
or the Irish Sea.
Yes. Or that, or your, what was your other podcast?
So you can find all of the more professional work that I'm doing now on McCuneMedia.com. So that's MCCUNE, McCuneMedia.com. And then all of my RV living stuff, family stuff is ReynoldsOnTheRun.com. Which I probably need to update that website, but
cool.
Yeah,
because the website's going to crash here in a second because there's about to be a huge flood.
There are about to be dozens of
tens of people.
There are about to be single digits of people,
and some of them won't be related to you.
Yeah.
Most of them will be.
And I guess if someone wants to buy a house here in San Angelo or surrounding areas, where would
feel free to look me up on the Google.
On the Google.
Benjamin Beaver. It's either me or this cartoon character that I've been competing with for years, who's in some video game. Help Benjamin Beaver build a dam. Yeah, it's on there. I've tried. I think I've got him off the front page of Google in San Angelo.
Yeah.
I did not plan on talking about this.
I had no idea about this. This is fascinating.
No, this is a private war that I have going on.
You know, the easiest way to win would be to make a series of commercials where you are an animated beaver.
See, here's the problem. As soon
Flood
as
the
I
market.
do that,
Yeah,
as soon as
exactly.
I use my name in that way, it's over. My career, everything
over.
I've worked for is just over.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let me take the attention off Matt. What do you see the company, what are you excited about in the future?
Yeah.
What am I excited about? Just, continued growth. So the fun thing now is like we have, all this new, fresh talent in here. We have
Yes.
Sean.
Shout out to the
there.
employees.
Yeah. Everyone that's standing behind the scenes right now. We got Sean and Landon and Ginny's interning with us right now. We just have all this talent in the room, and it's just fun to see what we can accomplish now. As opposed to not before, not like Logan was holding us down, nothing like that. But it's like, what are we able to do, and where are we able to go from here? Especially now that our skill set has grown so much, our reputation.
Landscape
is
of
much
media
better.
is constantly changing, just adapting. And,
Right.
Yeah.
So our goal is just to continue to grow even outside of San Angelo and in Texas and the United States and just take over and just see,
take over the world.
Just see how far we can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all great supervillains.
That's right.
Heroes. Yeah.
That's right.
World domination.
World domination. That's
Nothing
right.
less.
Yes. Perfect. All right. It's probably a good place to end.
Okay.
So we know where to find Logan and Benjamin for that stuff. And if you need any media content creation, find us at bythestreammedia.com.
Boom.
Wow, that last thing that was said was amazing. Well, thank you for joining us on this first By the Stream Media podcast. Hopefully that was interesting to you. If it is, make sure that you like and subscribe and comment, please, letting us know what you liked about it and what other kind of podcast would be interesting to do in the future. I mentioned that we might interview other people in San Angelo and the surrounding area and talking about their stories and how they started their businesses. So if that's something you would like to see more of, please let us know. Appreciate it. Thank you.